Okay, so I got 10 minutes, and I'm going to try to set through this, but while I'm sitting here from 6:30 to about 6:55, waiting for Father to get here, thinking, okay, this is called on the fly. We're not going to talk about what we're going to talk about, so what am I going to talk about? Well, this is kind of my little thing, which is I really enjoy thinking through the gospel reading before Sunday, because I don't want to give any good points away to Father, so he can give a homily. So I'm kind of in this men's morning group on Thursday mornings, and we go through some of the readings and so forth. And I really go through the readings before that because I want to feel them. And I don't mean this like I'm going to say this, but I almost wish Father Tom didn't speak last week before the reading last Sunday, because it's the reading of the rich man who goes to Jesus and says, "Hey, I want eternal life, pal. How do I get it? I've been good," right? And it's interesting and intriguing because Harry and I talk quite a bit. He went to the University of Dallas University, the theological 4-year thing, and so when I'm often wrong about the interpreting the Bible, I just say, "Harry, is this the way it is?" and so forth. So when he said, "So what do you think about the Sunday's reading?" I said, "I got my little take on it, and I'm not going to tell you. You just tell me when I kind of go through it Thursday." So I think the reading last week, and I'll kind of paraphrase because I don't have it with me, but rich man comes to Jesus and says, "Hey, listen, I want eternal life. I've done everything well. I follow the commandments. I do all those things. What must I do to have eternal life?" And so what does Jesus say? He said, "Well, first of all, it'd be easier for a camel to pass through a needle, number one. Number two is, okay, you've done all that, and you've been good, and that's, maybe you're halfway there. But if you really want to be good, sell everything, give that money to the poor that you sell it to, and come follow me." And at the end, which is the nugget, he says, he went away sad because he had many possessions. I think what we have here is a failure to communicate. I think the rich man is asking the wrong question. I think Jesus is answering the question he thinks the man should be asking him, but he's not asking him. The difference is, so the man is, and this is where the symbolism that I love so deep in the Bible. This man is of this world, and he's asking the question of this world. He's not asking for eternal life in heaven. He wants to live forever. A friend of mine says, we all know we're going to die, we just don't believe it. And I think he was in that camp. Okay, I've done all these things. I want to live forever. What must I do to have eternal life? Everything he's done to that point has been of this world. He had many possessions, which meant he made a lot of money, which meant he could buy anything. Jesus, on the other hand, takes that, obviously, and he says, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's asking. So I'm not going to answer his question, but he's going to think I'm going to answer his question. But when I answer the question, I'm going to give him the ultimate challenge. Sell your things. When you get that money, give it to the poor. Come follow me. 3 things. The third thing is really what he wants. Come follow me. He doesn't really care how much money the guy has. He doesn't really care whether or not this guy could pass a camel through the eye of a needle. All he cares about is, come follow me. But you see, Jesus doesn't mince words. And so what happens is he's saying, you know what? You got something between you and me. Okay? You're over there, you got all you. And for you to come follow me, there's this impediment. It's called, you value your riches and the things you have more than you value me. Now I'm defying you to separate yourself from that. The example is, sell it all, give it to the poor, because he knows what's in his heart. And the idea of not so much what you have, but how you feel about what you have in your heart, that's the bottom line. In that homily, I think that's what Jesus is saying. And not in that homily, but in that reading, that's what he's saying. So it's the challenge for all of us to say, okay, what is the impediment that's stopping me from totally committing myself to Jesus and to God and to get to eternal life? Do I possess and am I obsessed with status, success, materialism? Is that my God? Is that what is telling me that's what makes me important? That's what I must praise and glorify, are the things I have? Jesus is challenging this guy, saying, you can have eternal life. You can have eternal life. But one thing, you got to change your heart. So the question becomes, is it bad that this guy was rich? Is it bad that this guy had all this money and these possessions? And he probably had some fame within the town or the city that he was in. Let's not get confused, because there's nothing wrong with the guy being rich. Nothing. One thing that I think happens is when we hear that, we identify with ourselves. Oh, I've got a lot of possessions. I've got a nice car. I've got a big house. I've got nice clothing. I've got all this stuff. And I think Jesus would say, that's okay. You can still follow me when you're rich, when you've got all this money, when you've got all this status and power. What he's saying is that holding you back from totally committing yourself to me? Can you leave those things behind and say, I don't care. I can follow you. It doesn't matter what I have, what I obtain, what I can afford. The story Father Dominic gave this morning about the guy in the airport, the guy at the cab knocks the fruit stand down, he's getting ready to leave. And he's able to say, you know what, I'm going to help this person. He probably has the wherewithal to crap that ticket away and buy a new ticket to come back home and spend the night in New York City. What was in his heart was truly what I think Jesus is calling us all to do and to be. And I think in Plano, Texas, in North Texas, and in Dallas here, where we are surrounded by wealth and money, we shouldn't really be the least bit confused by having that money is okay. It's all right. We shouldn't feel guilty about having money, being successful, and driving a nice car, unless it's that impediment between me and Jesus. If that's the altar I kneel at, is the altar of my things and what I stand for, then that's the wrong altar. But if we're at the altar of God and of Jesus and we can put those things behind us, that's to me the true message of that reading. It's not that he has to sell his stuff. Jesus knows that's the only way he'll have his heart. It's kind of like a marriage, right? I mean, think about it. It really is. When you're married to somebody, you give your second. When you have kids, your third. If you have a lot of kids, your fifth, sixth, seventh. It just doesn't matter. But that's okay. That's the ultimate love, is giving of oneself. And when you can cleanse yourself of the stuff, okay? I jokingly say, what a blessing it was to have the fire. I talked a couple weeks ago about that fire we had. That was just amazing because it was so easy to just think about the blessings we still had of the family and children and the stuff. It's just stuff. It's all it is. And it was just a moment in those steps of giving up my heart and the things that I used to think were important, which were the possessions. So and I don't think in Sunday's reading there's the long portion, which Jesus talks about the fact that, you know, you could have all these things. And it's kind of in code, I think. Well, for me it's in code in the Bible if you read the next verses. Because he talks about God can give you all those things. He can give you an amazing amount and abundance of blessings. But they're only blessings if they're things and not only part of what your heart is and where your heart comes from. They're only things that are that make us, as I say, money takes away the the distractions. To me, that's all money is. It takes away the distractions. The example is, I go home, or I leave right now, and I run over something, a flat tire, and it blows the tire up. I'm on the side of the road. I've got to replace that tire. If I have no money, that's a distraction. I got to figure out a way to get that tire replaced. I have money, I can just go to take it to Discount Tire, go get a new tire, put it on, and move on about my day. So whatever in your heart, whatever altar you kneel at, that reading from last Sunday, Jesus is defying us all to not let that impede our relationship with Him.